For assignment 2, Professor Serrano gave us the option of choosing our own topic, and after looking over all of the works posted, I decided to choose Carlos Castro and his works for my presentation. Upon searching him, I found a website called art.sandiego.stateuniversity.edu, where he is a painting and printmaking assistant professor. In the biographical information section, it states, start quote, Colombian artist Carlos Castro is a chronicler of his time. In his pieces, he recontextualizes formally and symbolically found objects and images of his environment, some of them highly charged socially and politically, to create new narratives that bring to light the ones that have been socially suppressed over time or ignored in history. End quote. Upon reading this information, I decided to keep it in mind while evaluating his artwork. After a period of time, I decided on a title that I believe is encompassed in both of his artworks, which is Confessing Sins. In both of his artworks, I've noticed an underlying theme expressed in both of them, and I think this theme is centered around religion and death. As we proceed further, I'm going to explain my question and thesis and hopefully evaluate and analyze and make aware to the audience what he wanted to make them aware of as well. After serious thought and inquiry about these artworks, I have decided upon a question that I think is interesting about these works, and I think that his artwork is a confusing aspect that most people would not understand by first looking at it. My question states, why does Carlos Castro want to highlight the relationship between religion and death in his images? This question immediately struck me upon viewing Whitechapel as well as Son of God. I only hope that I can attempt to answer this question to the best of my abilities and to make the audience aware as to why Carlos Castro made his artwork the way that he did, and why he chose these common motifs of religion and death to be represented in his artwork. I believe that religion and death is something that every person comes across at some point in their life. It is something that every person can think about at some point in their life. And I think what Carlos Castro really wanted to do here was to emphasize the tension going on in each of his images. And I think he really just wanted to pinpoint this and ultimately leave his artwork open to interpretation as long as keeping this question in the back of your mind. I don't think that there's any correct answer to this question. I think that only everyone can interpret his artwork in a different way, but that doesn't mean that the answer is incorrect. It only means that everyone has their own opinion of religion and death, which is a very controversial topic in my opinion. So I came up with the thesis stating Carlos Castro creates images that represent tension in order to pinpoint the relationship between common motifs such as religion and death. This thesis will further be developed through the presentation as I attempt to analyze each detail of the following images more fully in order to explore the connections between each piece of evidence. I'm going to analyze his artwork to the best of my ability, and my analyzation may not necessarily be correct, but I hope that my evidence presented to you is very clear and focused and unexpected and makes you think back to my question and to my thesis. And I can only hope that it makes my audience notice the connections that I'm trying to tie between all of these points. Upon viewing this image, most people can be shocked. It is very hard to understand, and I think there's a lot going on in this artwork. Most people can see that the setting is most likely in a church. The backdrop is a close-up of an altar with a focus on a creature in the middle of the image. This creature is the first thing that struck me as soon as I saw this image. The creature is a contemplation of human bones, but portrayed in animal form. Most people can concur this piece of knowledge because of the creature's stature and its elongated tail. Giving this photo one look can cause so much confusion. Yet first, I would like to evaluate the image looking at the creature as just an animal. My first thought when I saw this was, why is this animal in this position? The animal looks like it's about to jump and prey on its victim. P-R-E-Y, prey. Yet, in some religions, when people pray, they too get into this position on the floor as the creature is making. Pray, P-R-A-Y. I think it's interesting to note the wordplay here. It's almost as if Carlos Castro was trying to make this comparison jump out at his audience. Pray, pray. An animal preys on its victim, but a person prays to a god. And clearly, the bones are supposed to illustrate a deeper meaning. I think that the creature is represented with human bones in order to show that there is an animal in every single human. The animal in us cannot hide in the eyes of God. We are all children of God, but this creature is the Son of God. And when death comes, all we are left with is bones. And the God that we believe in truly sees us for what we are. I mean, when I first saw this image, I can only think that this is nature versus religion. So nature, being the skeleton here, is shown as crouching down, while religion, the figures behind it, are all standing up as if they had greater power. I mean, this is what everybody believes in, right? That in every religion you have a god or various gods that hold this great power. And I think that the creature is bowing down in a way to show its respect and its mercy to this higher power. This artwork is entitled Whitechapel. Upon viewing this artwork, one can see that again, the setting is a holy ground, similar to that artwork entitled Son of God. And again, there is this image in the midst of things that doesn't belong. This police van is in the middle of a church with its trunk open, revealing a confessional booth. Now I asked myself, why would Carlos Castro present another image like this one? And I was trying to figure out what topics struck me. What was I thinking when I saw this? And again, I could only think of the same thing as I did when I saw Son of God, this nature versus religion. Nature in this case would be the police van, and religion would be the higher ground, the confessional booth, the church. Usually, when people go to church and they want to confess their sins, they go to a confessional booth. Yet this booth is in the van. And what kind of people belong in a police van? Criminals. People that have committed unjust crimes. And they belong in this police van. Not regular people that have done no harm, but criminals. Criminals, nonetheless, they are still people. And this image made me think criminals are people too, and perhaps they feel guilty for what they have performed that's caused them to go to this place. And what if the back of this police van with this confessional booth is their time to try to reconcile for their sins, to reconcile for their wrongdoing? I mean, most people in Catholicism attend church and attend these confessions around holidays, or if people are very sick, or if they feel guilty, their sins are eating them alive. I mean, looking at this image, I can only wonder. Someone goes to confession because they are scared of death. They are scared of the unknown. Other people go to confession because of the guilt. They just want this higher power to tell them that everything is going to be okay. Everybody in their time of need and their time of desperation looks to this higher power as their way out. I mean, nature versus religion versus death. No one wants to die, yet no one wants to be considered a bad person. And I think that this circles back to the main question that I've asked, which is, why does Carlos Castro want to highlight the relationship between religion and death in his images? I think he wants to show that religion is something that everybody turns to in their time of need. It's something that everybody chooses to cling to. And I think he wanted to let everyone know that it's okay. It's okay to turn to this higher power to make you feel okay. I think he's trying to show that everybody does it. Overall, in my presentation, I really just wanted to capture the tension of Carlos Castro's artwork. I mean, every image that I've shown had the concept of religion, death, and nature in some way. And I think that these motifs immediately pop out at the audience. But it is up to every individual to choose how they want to view this image, how they want to analyze it, what evidence they come across that will conclude them to some final meaning. So, to answer my question, Carlos Castro highlights the relationship between religion and death in an effort to portray that religion is something that everybody turns to. Death is a part of nature. We are born to die, but how we live our lives is up to us. What religion we are born into, what religion we choose, that is up to us. And in order to cope with this concept of death, most people turn to religion. And I think his works, Son of God and Whitechapel, portray how regular people become exposed through nature and in turn look at religion as their way out. It's what they cling to be able to try to comprehend all of the wonders in this world. I believe that that is what Carlos Castro wanted to emphasize. I think that that is the underlying meaning of his works.